Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're trying to get a direct path into the mind of, well, a master storyteller, Steven Spielberg.
Right, looking at his creative playbook.
Not just the famous movies, but the core principles, how he actually did it.
And it really all starts with this one single realization he had about himself.
What was that?
Well, after a journalist asked him why he makes movies, it took him a while, but he finally landed on his truth. I dream for a living.
I mean, that kind of explains everything, doesn't it?
It sets the whole philosophical baseline, and his practical advice flows right from it.
The advice to just, what, completely ignore technique?
Pretty much, don't worry about where to put the camera, how to light. He says that's all detail work.
Your main job, your preoccupation, has to be telling a story so compelling that people literally lean into it.
Exactly. So they don't walk out in the middle of the second act. He argues the emotional factor always trumps business success.
Okay, that sounds like a great ideal, but how do you maintain that in a system like Hollywood that is just, built to prioritize the bottom line?
It seems to start with this really intense, single-minded focus.
Like that story from when he was just a teenager.
Yeah, staying up all night writing a script called Firelight. He said that process, just trying to stay ahead of his own thoughts on paper, was the closest he'd ever felt to flying.
And the incredible part is, he admitted the movie itself was
Awful. Truly an awful movie, in his own words.
but the process, that obsessive devotion, that was the magic potion.
And to find that, he had to learn to tell the difference between two voices, conscience and intuition.
Right. Conscience shouts, here's what you should do.
It's all the outside voices, parents, professors, the critics.
But intuition just whispers, here's what you could do.
And he says listening to that quiet whisper is the hardest but most important thing. It took him, his first 25 years to finally trust it over the shouting?
So if that's the philosophy, how does it actually look on set, day to day? For instance, I read he absolutely refuses to rehearse with his actors.
He wants that raw discovery. He treats the first 5 takes as the rehearsal.
Because the magic happens in those early, unpolished moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spontaneity over perfection.
It's so interesting how his greatest creative wins came directly from things going completely wrong.
Oh, absolutely. The Jaws paradox is the perfect example of that.
The mechanical shark.
Ah.
It just wouldn't work.
Can you just imagine that pressure on set? The
Yeah.
centerpiece of your huge horror film is just broken,
So he was forced to shoot scenes without the shark.
which turned the movie into an exercise of suspense instead of just, a creature feature.
He actually said the film wouldn't have been as successful if the shark had worked perfectly on day one.
Constraint breeds creativity. And that spontaneity applied to the dialogue, too.
The line, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Totally unscripted. It was an improvised idea he just threw out to Roy Scheider on set.
He really mastered that balancing act. But maybe the ultimate test was the extreme overlap of Jurassic Park and Schindler's List.
It's just an insane story. He admitted it took him 10 years to even gather the nerve to make Schindler's List.
But once that final script was ready, he knew he had to jump ship right away to shoot in the Polish winter.
So he leaves Jurassic Park when it only needs sound mixing and color correction.
And while he's in Krakow, directing one of the most profound historical dramas ever made,
He's also on teleconference calls, dialing in lighting and movement changes for digital dinosaurs thousands of miles away.
he called it a living hell.
You can see why. That collision of profound drama and, digital whimsy must have been immense.
So what does this all mean for you, for your own work? I think the biggest lesson comes from his one acknowledged crashing failure.
The film 1941.
Right. But instead of wallowing in that failure.
He immediately, and I mean immediately, threw himself into making Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So the takeaway isn't about avoiding failure at all.
Not at all. It's about maintaining what he called an utter devotion to a single idea, sometimes for years, without letting it get contaminated.
So the real creative fight isn't about failing.
No. The real fight is just having the interest and the devotion to stay singularly focused on one thing until the very end.